let's go. Oh. Call the meeting to order. Madam, please take the roll.
Councilman Bundy,
Present.
Councilman Brennan,
Brennan is at the moment.
Councilman McCain,
Present.
Councilman Stokes,
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
Present. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum for the August 10th, 2020 meeting. Run down to item number 2, public hearing. FY21 budget. Would anybody like to speak on the public hearing?
About the budget?
Correct.
That's why I can't.
Yep. Come on down.
Need to sign up on the sheet, please.
You can probably guess what I want to know. Yeah.
And Tiffany.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said. The jacket's too loud.
Let the record reflect that Councilman Brennan and our attorney are here now.
That's just, and then that's one for you, and then can you pass these up to those guys, please? I think there's 3 there.
One of you guys, you want to talk about that?
All I have is a question, basically.
Okay.
I know that they're working on it. They've cleared off the back fence and they're starting to do something. And you got to finish the downtown and everything's going to come in time. And I've buried 2 of my 3 dogs, so I've really lost a lot of momentum in this. But my question is, how much money did you allocate? Are you allocating to the new dog park? That 17 acres, is my understanding, is going to be overflow for soccer fields too. But have you guys decided how much you're going to allocate?
Mayor and Council, the dog park will either come from the contributions that you've collected, or it will come from Miguel's Buildings and Grounds. It's a prioritization list, so it depends on if playground equipment at one point is more important than dog parks. He has a lot in his Buildings and Grounds, but
So it's all coming out of what he decides, what is left over, or whatever he wants to. Nothing's coming from the city account, or
that is the city account.
It's
Buildings
the
and
general
Grounds
fund.
are the city.
oh, so you just allocate so much money to the Parks and Rec, and then he decides where it goes.
To parks. We
Or
put
parks.
money into parks, and he does his maintenance and his projects.
Okay, so it's all up to them.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
Miguel, isn't Miguel right there? How much didn't we set some,
We upped that line for next
yeah, and how much did you put in there? That's what John wants to know.
year.
Do you remember what you did for that line?
I don't, not off the top of my head. It's over 120.
Yeah, I don't have a specific
Oh,
amount.
So we
but
bought
it's-
the line item up, I think, right?
Right. Or for the contribution?
Well, the contributions aren't enough. I mean, I put in 100 hours, and I was only able to get, like $5,000 in cash and 2,500 in product, different things that people have. So that's not going to cut it. That's why it might be able to be enough to buy most of the fencing to get around there. But I don't know if it'll even do that.
Didn't you talk about the fencing to me a couple weeks ago that you were budgeting it or you had it or?
Well, he raised that money and that was gonna pay for the chain link and poles. And then
That's what we were hoping, yeah.
we're gonna buy some of the post mix at cost. He was able to
Yeah,
get that.
we'll be able to get
Okay. That's what we're gonna get before the end of the
I'm
budget.
sorry, I misunderstood. I didn't really know how it worked. Miguel's been great, and Tiffany, they've done everything I've ever wanted or asked. But I thought it was up to you guys to say, okay, well, the dog park's going to get, $50,000, $100,000, whatever. And so if now I know, so I'll let you guys move on.
Awesome, John.
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Did you have any comments on the FY21 budget?
Yeah, put more money towards the dog park. Let's get it going. Jeez. Is there a paper I can look at on what you budgeted?
We could get you that. We'll get you something.
Don't worry about it.
No, we'll get you some.
Okay. all right.
John, thank you for your efforts.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's right in your heart. So.
Well, I had to stop, and because of the COVID stuff. So I thought I could do better. I did what I could. So let's just use the money what we got and get the fence up. I don't care. I'll go out and rake it out myself. I mean, if we can just get a fence in there, then I can let my dogs run it, because that's 2-acre plot is a big. The the park we have now is only 3/4 of 1 acre, including the parking lot. So, I mean, the 2 acres is gonna be a significant, and the little dogs won't come into the dog park when there's big dogs there. So we really, you guys have the best parks in I've ever seen. You have such a diverse, you guys have done a great job in the city, except for a big dog park. So let's just try to get that going.
Okay.
Don't put it on too far on the back burner, okay?
No, sir.
That's why I want to have to do that. I was hoping we could get something going before winter.
Okay.
All
I'll get with
right, guys.
Miguel and we'll call you tomorrow. For sure.
Wow, don't call me anything too bad.
No, I appreciate all you've done. Thank
No
you.
problem. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Would anybody like to get up and talk about the FY21 budget or public hearing time? Hearing not, I will close the FY21 budget, public hearing. Run down to item number 2, public hearing, new fire inspection fee schedule. Would anybody like to get up and talk about that one? Going once, going twice, all right. Recognizing people in the audience, would anybody like to get up and comment for 3 minutes?
Yeah, Ted Thompson, manager at the airport and Comes Mediation. Talk about the recommendation from the airport committee to eliminate parking fees at the airport. A few months ago, somebody came to the council here and said they were driving traffic away in part because of parking fees. And I came back to the council a week later and provided data that indicated, in fact, we doubled traffic in 2015, 2019. So we're not driving anybody away with our parking fees. We waived quite a bit of parking fees. It's within the resolution. Basically, every airplane that parks at the airport, essentially every airplane, not all, but most, are not going to pay a parking fee as long as they spend $50 in town, either buying gas at the airport, staying in a hotel, buying a nice meal. If they stay one night, they get no parking fee. If they stay a week, they get one night waived because they buy gas or spend $50 in town. So almost all airplanes are affected by the waiver of the parking fee. And that's for the overnight parking fee. For monthly and annual parking fees, there's no waiver because the price is very good. It's very low. And it accounts for the fact that you're going to spend a lot of time in there. So I've only heard one person ever complain about parking fees. The city residents want to pay extra tax dollars to support the airport because they're not getting the revenue from parking fees, because that revenue has to be made up someplace. I don't know, I haven't told the city residents, but I can imagine that they would want to. It's kind of like saying we don't have to pay greens fees anymore to play golf. So the people who use the airport, you pay for that privilege of using that, and parking fees is one of the ways to do that. What's going to be input on lost revenue from firefighting airplanes that stay overnight? Right now they get a waiver for one night as long as they buy gas or stay in town, which most of them do. If they stay longer than that, then we lose that revenue. And it's pretty substantial because those are turbine-powered airplanes. If you do away with that, then we're going to lose that revenue. That's up to thousands of dollars. Particularly if we include the single-engine air tankers that are paying a $25 a night parking fee. So far, without complaint about everybody else getting a waiver and monthly fees and annual fees and all that, which certainly they would add up very quickly. They've never to date complained about that. So if we do away with that, that's certainly at least $2,500 to maybe $3,500 of revenue that the city is going to lose, that the taxpayers will have to make up to put back into the airport. So it seems to me that getting rid of these fees is going to cost the city money that I don't know if you all are doing budgets, so maybe you've already budgeted for this and you can find other ways to get that revenue, but I don't know how you do that. The last thing is, and this is the least important part of it to me, but my contract says that part of my compensation is for parking fees. So if those are done away with, I'm gonna lose money. So is that a breach of the contract? Is there a way to make that up? That's just a question. So I would hope that you take a look at these very small fees and decide that it's really not costing that much for the individuals who use the airport to pay for that privilege, either business or personal, and leave these fees in place.
Thank you. I think that's understood. All right, anybody else would like to get up and speak for 3 minutes? All right, hearing none. Councilman, got anything?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Bundy.
Friday morning, I checking my emails and I saw the invitation for the council and other members of the city to go over to the soft opening of the skate park, which I think was a huge success. There were a lot of people there for the opening. Saw a lot of students over there. I saw a lot of adults over there. I don't want to brag, but I actually tried out the park myself and did not hurt myself. But I just think it's in the feedback that we're getting, and when I drive by, I see a lot of people there. The mayor was telling me that it was over at the chamber. Chamber was telling me about a lady that was saying that her little 4-year-old wanted to learn how to skate, and the bigger kids were kind of helping the little kid learn how to do some skating and some things. So I think it's a good thing for the community. It's a good thing for the kids. It's a good thing for parents. So I just like to thank everybody that was involved in this long process to get this built and to give the youth and the young at heart a place to go try out their skating skills. But it was a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun, but it was great. Anyway, just wanted to talk a little bit about the skate park.
Any other councilman?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Stokes?
Saturday night, I had a chance to pop by the Omar County Domestic Violence Council candlelight vigil in Carmel Park, and that was a beautiful ceremony. Poetry, speakers, music. It's good that we have that resource in town and for the county. So shout out to that team.
All right, Councilman, anything else? We'll run down to item number 5 on the consent agenda. Councilman.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Bundy.
real quick, I just wanted to talk a little bit about G. I think just so that people know that this outdoor fitness court is going to, the plan is for that is to go along the brown belt, correct? Okay, so as you're exercising and walking the brown belt, there will be exercise stations, if I understand the plan correctly. And so,
Tiffany's in there, right?
Tiffany?
Tiffany.
Or her grant.
So real quick,
G.
just so that people know that your fitness court is a grant that you were able to procure to put exercise stations along the brown belt, correct?
So it's actually one whole fitness court. It'll be located at the parking lot.
Oh.
So at the trailhead of Third.
So it's all centralized.
It's all centralized at this time. It will be a community, like, we have to fund in community donations to complete the project. But yeah, that is where it'll be located at this time.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Hang on, Tiff. Councilman Stokes?
I had one more quick question about G, that $120,000 match. Does that include hours that we provide or work that we are performing?
To purchase all the equipment and to lay the concrete pad, that's the estimate at this time. So, and the goal is to do a community campaign and partner with some local businesses as well as some national ranked companies to try to get them and to do sponsorships and different stuff on the back of the equipment. So.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I'd like to remove item F and G from the consent agenda.
Anything else, Councilman?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Stokes?
I make a motion to pass the consent agenda, removing items F and G.
Second.
The motion is second. I'll call for the question. Councilman McCain?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Bundy?
Aye.
Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Run down to item number 6, old business. There was none. Run down to item number 7, items removed from consent agenda. Let's go to item number F.
Let me pull that up. Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
So I know I missed a meeting a while back that this was talked about in the budget, I do believe, but I have some questions as to if the city has approached Elmore County commissioners, if they are willing to continue with their support of Marty's position.
We talked, I think not councilman, but I think Alan Berman Solo did, and they weren't, what's the word I'm looking for, 100% behind the program anyways. They felt that they had been getting enough information. So I don't think that they said no to the funding, right?
That was what I understood from Mr. Bernie Solo when he talked to somebody at the commissioners.
Just one person, or did he ask the board?
You've been their military liaison, whoever, each commissioner gets, you get ag, you get the Air Force Base, you get this. So that's why I went to I think Commissioner Corbis, who it was, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Mayor, I talked to Commissioner Corbis today, and he said nobody has approached him on this topic. Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the contract to Marty Anderson until the city has an opportunity to formally ask the county if they're willing to continue with their portion of his contract that they've previously been paying, or a greater amount, match at 50/50.
I would like the council to approve it pending their yay or nay.
Approve it pending yay or nay?
Either way, we're still going forward. You know what I mean?
Well,
If they want to participate, that's great. That's gravy, right? That's extra fun.
Why did the state no longer want to have any portion of this contract?
Marty, you want to answer that one?
So what would restate the question?
I'm curious as to why the state of Idaho no longer wants to engage in a contract for these services with you.
So basically, as I understand it, they actually had plans even 2-3 years ago to actually stop paying on the contract, even with Billy Rich who's there. So there was a delay when this, and I didn't learn this till I officially got into the position, but they delayed it out 3 months because they wasn't sure. But really, the contract fell under military division, which is under General Garshak. He did not value the position because of the guard and his relationship with Governor Little. But at the time, they still went through with the position. But as I understand it, the guard didn't necessarily value the position, so therefore it was under their military funding line. They did not switch that funding line over to the governor's office. And then there was a separate meeting. I was not part of that, but as I understood it, that they felt that they could expedite the process, communication process talk about the water project directly via with the Air Force. But they would not have had that relationship if I was not in that position to begin with, to figure out who to talk to, those sort of things. But that's where we're at. So I was notified, the contract ended June 30th. I was notified June 30th at 3:30 that the state no longer wanted to continue with the contract.
And they operate on the July 1 fiscal year?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Bundy. Sorry, Brandon. Councilman Brennan.
I'll go again later, but he can go ahead.
I think, I wasn't there on your conversation with Commissioner Corbett, so I can't comment on that conversation. My thoughts on this are this position, however we fund it, is a definite asset to the city, the county, and the state. My understanding is I try to stop in and talk to Marty once or twice a week. He's currently, and help me out here, Marty, he's currently working a fairly large grant for schools, which would benefit everybody in the county. There's a couple of different school grants you're going on. Isn't there one for Stevenson and then one for the schools in general?
Correct. So DOD has two specific grants. The first one's called Public Schools of Military Installations.
Mm-hmm. Back
in 2018, they did evaluation of all schools on military installations. Mount Home Air Force Base Stevenson Elementary was number 39 on the list. A few weeks, actually now it's been about 3 months ago, I had a conversation with Mr. Manasco, who's the Undersecretary of the Air Force, and was talking with him. We talked about programs and stuff. And one of the things, like 2 weeks later, our Stevenson Elementary that didn't quite make the cut now became the #1 priority for DOD under this program. So that's their program. It's under the Office of Economic Adjustment. The second program is called the Defense Communities Infrastructure Program, and that's the program where I try to apply for a grant on behalf of Mountain Home School District for $427,000. Mm-hmm. And that was to get new carpets for 43 classrooms and to redo tile for 11 classrooms. Also for the paint of the school's interior to improve the aesthetics. And so we'll find out if that grant gets approved. September 15th will be the date that we'll know how the outcome of that is. But now going back to the public military schools public schools and military installations program, that's a $3 million or 20% cost, where the DOD will pay for 80% of a new building or renovation, and then the Mountain Home School District has to pay for the other 20%. Mm-hmm. So Mr. James Gilbert, school superintendent, is trying to work on that to come up with that funding right now.
And the reason I brought those up real quick is, as our city and there's a couple of things that the military looks at when they want to maintain or enlarge or grow a base, and schools is in the top 1, 2, or 3. Depends on how you want to look at the list. So if we have a position that's working in the city to benefit the entire area to keep the base in here, and Daniel, I agree. I think we should reapproach with the county and try to maybe work out a relationship that is conducive to them. I think that the benefit of going forward with this contract tonight is that the position remains continuous, that we don't have a break where these large grants say, well, the guy that I'm working with isn't there anymore. So we lose that. And then we go, I would like to see the position funded, and then we continue to have conversations with the county and the state. I've been approached by numerous veterans groups and retirees, MAC, Legion, VFW, that fully support keeping Marty here. His relationship with the wing commander and the base leadership, and we got a guy that can pick up the phone and talk to the Deputy Secretary of the Air Force because of some things that he was able to do when he was active duty. So I think that the value that it brings is tremendous. And I agree with Daniel that we should continue to talk with the county and convince them that this is something that's good. And I think that our good neighbor policy with the commissioners, I think should possibly help us and we can move forward. So I know we have a motion on the floor. We'll see what happens here with that. But if that doesn't take, I would make a motion that we go forward. I'm projecting the future, but that we go forward and continue to work with county and state for future funding. That, as you say, Mayor, we've been able to budget this in, but if we're able to get some type of input from the county, then we could reallocate that money just back into our reserve fund or something like that. So anyway,
Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilman.
Marty, question about the money for the schools if the grants are awarded. They haven't been awarded, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand right. The school is a Mountain Home School District school, right? Located on the base.
Say that again?
The school, the elementary school on the base is an asset of the Mountain Home School District,
Correct,
just located on the base.
correct.
Okay, so assuming the grant is awarded, does the school district have any control over that money? Can they reallocate it to another location?
Okay, so clear up the confusion. So when I talk about the public schools and military installation, that 80-20% grant, that is specifically for Stevenson. The 427K grant that I wrote and submitted on behalf of Mountain Home School District is actually for the 5 schools, the elementary schools, Hacker Middle School, junior high school, those here in Mountain Home.
Oh, that one had nothing to do with it.
Nothing, because under the DSIP grant, if you were eligible for the PSMI program, then that grant cannot go towards that school.
Okay.
Because that's a separate program that is eligible for. Does that help you?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
You bet.
And I'm curious as to, since your contract began, how has your communication with the county officials been? Do you feel like you talk to them equally as you talk to city officials, or not at all, or more than the city officials?
No, actually about equivalent. So if I had updates, so even though my contract was ending in July or June, I still gave the county commissioners an update of the issues. When we talked about the DSIP grant, talked about the PSMI grant, also talked about the water issue, where we stood. So I provided all those updates, even though I knew my contract was going to end. So the complaint that I kind of heard was, hey, we'd like to hear from you more often specifically. But if there was no changes or updates, I did not provide an update on those 4 key topics. So the 4 key topics were water, housing, education, and then jobs specifically in licensed reciprocity. So those are the other issues that I've been working. So I try to always provide updates when there were updates to brief them up on.
Okay. Mayor, question for you. I didn't see it in here, but assuming the city takes over the entire contract, will you allow Marty to continue to communicate with county officials?
Why would I not allow anybody to do anything? He's a grown man.
It's in the contract that he will.
Yeah.
It's not
I
not a dig on you. I'm just saying, like, now he will work for us and he won't work for them. So I would just want to see that there's no, like, it's not a secret position and everything is fully communicated.
My biggest thing is I share everything with everybody. I think the more people we get for transparency, if the county commissioners want something, absolutely, because I want them to make a good decision on whatever we're trying to do. So absolutely. This isn't a secret position by any means.
Mr. Mayor, maybe I could clarify that if I just read section 1 purpose.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Is that okay, Daniel? Would that be okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
This contract establishes an independent contract position to coordinate combined efforts by city, county, and other state officials to retain and expand Mountain Home Air Force Base and its military ranges. So hopefully that answers that question.
So what I've given Marty, not given, but I have said, Marty, you will speak on my behalf. If I can't make a function or I can't do that, and he's out there talking about reciprocity, schools, housing, water. That's why we have him housed with Brock, because we're working on a huge housing development. I want him to be able to communicate that with the generals, the colonels, everybody out there. And if it's the water thing, definitely, because the county commissioners are definitely trying to do a water project. We want them to know everything that might be coming down the pike, because I want them to be able to make the most educated decisions with the information they have at the same time.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to amend my motion since there hasn't been any action taken on it.
Mayor, before you amend your motion, man,
Yes, sir.
I would like to see this pass and go forward. The only thing I would like to see is some type of report or come to council and to the county, once every other month or something, even if it's like, well, here's what I've still been working on. There hasn't been any changes, just because I think we've only seen you in council once since I've been here. So where I just a report, some once in a while. do something for the county and the city, so we know what's going on.
No, fair enough, and you would actually get a monthly report. So I
A monthly would be fantastic.
No, you will get a monthly report. That's something that I would give you, that I would present, you know. Now, if you want me to present it in person, I can do that.
No.
But I will present it to Nina, so that way she has it, and she will give it to you. It will be at the end of the month.
That would be
Usually,
fantastic.
no later than the first week of beginning next month, but usually at the end of the month, we're pretty timely with that. And that will go through everything that I've worked with, meetings of who I've spoken to about whatever the project, whatever our conversation is, so that way you're apprised of that information of how I'm working for the mayor's agenda and Mountain Home specifically.
Thank you. That would be fantastic. I don't expect them to be here at every council meeting or anything, just something to where we know what's going on still and what's been done, even if it's just still sitting. Sorry to step on you, Daniel.
And I want to make sure that you guys understand that I don't speak military. You two do, and Marty does. I don't. When he says DSEP, I'm like, okay, I don't know what it is. And he'll still be the one that goes back to Langley in Virginia, and we advocate for the Air Force Base. But yeah, Mac is also pitching in on this. Military Affairs Committee definitely pitching in on this.
On the contract,
Mac will pay for all travel expenses for Marty's position.
travel and per diem. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right, Mayor, I'd like to amend my motion to allow the contract through September 30th, 2020 to give us time to communicate with the county. Because if we just tell everybody that we're going to approve the contract no matter what they decide, then I don't think they have any reason to pitch money in to the contract. So continue them through the end of our fiscal year, which will get them on our contract, or I'm sorry, on our fiscal year with the contract. And that'll give us 2 months roughly to communicate with the county and maybe get an answer from them.
To me, though, he's working on projects now, and he needs to be paid for those projects and the continuous work he's doing currently. Here's my thing, you know, obviously you've been having communication with commissioners. Are they not liking the position? Do they like the position? What do you think they want?
Well, Marty said it himself. There was kind of a complaint, not a directed complaint, I guess, but they feel like they weren't getting any information out of Marty, nothing. And so, and I don't get many emails. I have gotten a few, but so therefore I don't know how many he sends, what kind of updates are out there, but they feel like they're not getting enough. And they've never indicated that they want nothing to do with him. And so if they can help, I'd like them to.
Well, and that's why I said, I'll call, what's her name? Not Vicky, Shelley, get on the agenda for Friday. And I would like, do you think that they wouldn't fund it because we're funding it? I guess, what's the reason to push it off?
For the financial interests of the city?
Yeah.
So if we only have to pay half of his contract.
But you that's what I'm saying. Either way, you know, if we're still paying it, I guess, because let's say they're like, okay, we're gonna pay half, we're still good.
Agreed on that part, but if they say we're not gonna pay anything, then
We're still gonna pay.
has that been voted on?
You budgeted it.
Yeah, we budgeted it.
Well, it's budgeting for it doesn't mean it's approved.
Well, that's why we're here.
Right.
So what does it hurt either way, I guess? That's the question. Do you not have confidence that the commissioners will approve it?
I think they might approve it.
Okay.
Granted, I think they're not super happy with the city right now, but and the relationships, I think they feel like the relationships are deteriorating rather than improving. So
I don't know what that would be. We did everything they've asked.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Buddy.
And like I said, I'm not commenting on anybody else's conversation. I have had conversations with county commissioners about this, and some of a lot of the things that we're hearing. I think that they want a closer relationship with this position. I would agree with that. My guess is that probably all four of us have had conversations with the county commissioners about this position. So I'm not commenting on anything else that you've said, but I think we're all just, we've all had this, and we all understand that they want a closer relationship with Marty. And so I think we can work on that. I really do. I think that we can work on that. And like I say, I agree that we need to be a good neighbor, build bridges, mend fences, whatever words we want to use here, so that we can go forward with this. So that's just what I wanted to say, is that and based on the up and down heads, it sounds, I think all of us have spoken with county commissioners about this. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but to just basically have this exact same conversation in 60 days doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we should have a conversation with the county, you know, and I agree with you that I really want them to come on board and help support this, and hopefully they will. And I think if they feel like if we can build the right relationship, I think they'll come on board. I really do. They're here for the best interest of the county, just like we are. See, and anyway, that's just what I wanted to add right there.
I will get on, or I'll call, or have the ladies call and get on the agenda. I promise you I'll go and talk to them, and I'm sure Marty would go there with me on Friday.
So since we have that conversation done, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the military liaison position agreement between the City of Mountain Home and Marty Anderson, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign. And I would also like to add that even if this goes through, which I hope it does, that we continue to build a relationship with the county and try to work that team.
Second.
I'll just jump in real quick. I just wanted to make sure to acknowledge, is there a second to Councilman Brennan's motion to extend it for 2 months? That was never called, technically. And for lack of a second, then it would fail. 3, 2, 1.
Well, I apologize, Paul. I thought he said that he was thinking about it. I apologize. I'd like to back up and let that one go first. I apologize.
So Paul, can we now?
Yeah, now, and then I didn't mean to be a stickler about all
No,
that.
that's fine.
No, we want to do it right.
You don't have to do the motion again. I just wanted to make sure the decorum was followed.
Thank you.
The motion, second, I'll call for the question. Councilman McCain. Aye. Councilman Brennan.
Nay.
Councilman Bundy.
Aye.
Councilman Stokes.
Aye.
All right. Now we get Sherry, get on the agenda, please. And then CC Marty on that one. All right, we'll go to item G, Councilman Brennan.
Okay, a few of my questions were answered. Can Tiffany come back? Actually,
Right
Behind you.
I don't get to see everybody sitting down here. Let me find that piece of paper. Hold on. I don't know where that's at. Going the wrong way.
I'm sticking my tongue out.
You know,
Okay, so this is a grant for $30,000, right?
Correct.
Has it been awarded?
No, well, we've got an award email awarding us the money. We don't have it in hand, if that's the question.
No, we're guaranteed the money if we match, do our part.
Yeah.
Okay. So the city match is $120,000, right?
Correct.
And you mentioned that includes an in-kind or service provided?
Yeah. So we have to raise the revenue to even expense the money.
How much?
We have to come up with 120.
And is this coming out of our budget already, or it's solely money that you're gonna raise?
So we have budgeted in the upcoming year, but we have to revenue the money in to even expense it out. Correct, Paula?
They'll be passed through. So it's not cash that we took out of the big bucket, the big pool of money that the departments operate on. She's got to go out and get 120 to pass it through the budget. So from Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that, So it's not taxpayer dollars, it's money she's got to raise.
Except for the service provided, right? Help me understand that.
Like
So,
in kind is what you mean?
yeah, we're
Like-
putting in we're doing the labor to install it, or,
So
Or
in kind
prepping-
might be rocks brought in for land,
Big, 3/4
Yeah.
mix, dump trucks.
stuff that we already have on hand.
okay. Um, have you already started on the campaign for that money?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So
Tomorrow's my goal.
you physically have to acquire $120,000 aside from what the city is going to do in labor. Is that right?
The estimate, yes, correct, yeah.
Okay. So the city might have an in-kind, right? That's the word here. Might have $30,000 in expenses. That's probably high, but in labor and rocks and material and gasoline, all that stuff, that's additional above the 120,000.
Yeah, they've estimated about $20,000 would be the prep work for the concrete slab. So that would be included in that total of 120. Does that make sense?
The concrete slab comes out of that 120.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And so if you're not able to, how much time do you have to acquire the 120,000?
So they wanted to try to finish it all up by the end of the year, but due to COVID, they've extended that out until next year. So
Until when next year?
the summertime, they're really just hoping that we will be able to land the funds to get this project complete.
Okay, so we roughly have a year to acquire the money. Thank you. One more thing on that is you mentioned the location for it is going to be the parking lot. Basically, the parking right, is that off East 8th?
No, so it's up on North 3rd,
Okay,
the trailhead by Legacy,
perfect.
right in that area. And it won't be in the parking lot. It'll be the grass area next to it. It'll take up that space.
Okay, that makes me feel way more comfortable. I was concerned with, you mentioned the parking lot. Thank you. And I knew that, as I understand it, that parking lot will probably be moved.
Correct, yeah.
Because of commercial development. Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Mayor,
Councilman McKay?
the 120,000 isn't just cash, is it? It's equipment and everything else that's part of that, isn't it?
So
It's
no,
not-
we want it brought to us in money because everything comes in with the equipment. So
Oh,
once we
okay.
pay for it all, we'll get everything.
Oh, okay, all right.
What's your contingency plan if you don't get the 120,000?
Haven't got there yet. I'm gonna get it.
Okay.
I got Doug Park Jones up there wherever he went.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I haven't flipped through this at all yet. So it's a concrete slab, or is there protective material on top of it?
Yeah, there's
that's
a padding that we'll have to put on the top.
weatherproof for many years?
Yeah, so I called because I was concerned about the winters. We would be the first one in Idaho. So I called, and they have a court in Chicago. And the gentleman I talked to on the phone said, about at the 4-year mark, like the handles, those kind of wore out, but that was it. And theirs is not covered or anything. There is the potential to add covering to it, but at this point, I don't have the money to do that.
Sure. Thank you. Anybody else want to see this? There we go. I got you, Mike.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Cook?
are there any ADA requirements for this Tiffany? I never asked you that.
I would imagine so, but they would have the accessibility to get to it. There are the paths we'd have the accessibility from the parking lot and the trail.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I'll make a motion to adopt and allocate funds for an outdoor fitness court as part of the 2020 National Fitness Campaign.
Second.
The motion and second, I'll call for the question. Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Councilman Bundy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Went down to item number 7, discussion decision on motocross track plan presented by Justin Rose and pass resolution number 20-20 approving the lease agreement with Justin Rose for motocross track at Optimus Park. How's it going, Justin?
Good, how are you?
Good. Councilman, you got any
Mr. Mayor,
question, Councilman Bundy?
So this is a motocross track that you're willing to come in and donate a lot of time and effort, get some assistance from the city to bring a motocross track back to life, per se, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have for now.
Any other councilman got anything? Councilman Brennan?
Thank you. I didn't have to say anything. All right. I'm sorry, keep telling me your name, first name.
Justin.
Justin, sorry. Justin and I and Tiffany had a chance to talk outside, and I completely spilled the beans, but Tiffany cut me off earlier and was very honest with Justin about how I was going to react to this. So just to put it on the record, since Justin already knows. Justin, this is a $5 annual fee, right, lease agreement. And our city attorney has asked us to consider a pass-through ordinance, which I had asked to be on the agenda and never quite made it there, which would basically make the fee of the lease no less than the amount the city pays to draft it. So as always, I've never agreed with $5 because we just lose every direction from that. And so the other initial cost from your $5 is the insurance that you have to pay to play, right? As the lease agreement goes, will you be paying for any water on that track?
Not as the lease agreement states right now.
How about electricity?
Yes, sir.
No. And the lease agreement allows you to charge rent, essentially, right? Or for any motorcycle participant that wants to come in, you have the right to charge them access.
Correct.
And any observer of such practices or races get to be charged to come in.
That's not the way I would operate it. Observers wouldn't be charged, just riders.
But you could,
Okay.
under the lease, right? And so with that, would you agree that potentially one ticket for one of your riders will pay for your $5 lease agreement?
It would pay for the $5 lease agreement, but it would not pay for the equipment to maintain once the track was up and running. And it would not pay for the insurance costs to cover.
Sure.
Right.
Just one thing at a time. It would cover the cost for the lease agreement with one sale.
Yes, sir.
And then obviously it won't cover the insurance. I have no idea how much your insurance costs. It's none of my business. I don't care. But obviously you have to sell a few more tickets to cover your insurance. And then you made mention that it won't cover the cost of the equipment, but you were careful to use the words something to the effect of after the track is up and running.
Correct.
Right. So as I've always been against, this lease allows you to use city equipment to your undying heart's content as long as the mayor approves it.
Correct.
Right. Okay. And so we talked outside and you told me that you would agree to not use any city equipment after the first 30 days.
If it was the council's agreement.
Okay. I'd like to ask the council to amend the lease agreement to allow them to use, to disregard. I'm not okay with the use of any city equipment for private gain. And would you agree that this is a private enterprise of yours?
It's a private enterprise in the sense that I would charge a fee, but this is a community commodity that's in the town. It's not being utilized right now. There is a large outreach from people wanting to use the track.
Agreed.
And have not been able to. And the track has been let go. And so it would be I would ask for help from the city to get the track up and running again, get it back in rideable shape. And then at that point in time, it is my goal, my personal goal, to obtain my own equipment to continue on in the future.
Okay. And when you say help from the city, do you simply mean by using their equipment or also using our employees?
Just the equipment.
Just the equipment. Okay.
That's a good question then also. Okay. So according to the contract, you would be able to exercise extreme caution and a judicious nature in any request to use city equipment.
Yeah,
So certain questions can be posed different ways. I would assume that he would only ask for what he absolutely needed and that we only had access to, and I'm making an assumption here, so I apologize if I'm wrong. So I'm just kind of saying that I think there's a way to look at it where we're, with the proper approval and oversight, that it would be very limited judicious use of some city materials.
correct.
So Justin, in my stance is you're improving a piece of city property with your own time. The city's not paying you to do it. You're doing it, obviously, hopefully to make a little bit of money, but also put it in the park, make it a world-class, motocross track, hopefully, and make put your stamp on it. Maybe your claim to fame, like this is the best in the West, or as best as it can be. So for me, I've always had the stance on, I could have my parks and rec guys go out there every day and do all the work to it and try to maintain it. Or if I have somebody that wants to volunteer and do it, that's to improve a city facility or a city park. I have no problem, but obviously definitely use better judgment. I will agree with Councilman Brennan when we had people hanging off equipment. That was a big no-no, big liability to the city. So we hopefully use great judgment on the equipment, and if you choose to use it, here moving forward, pending council approval or not. Councilman McCain?
I've talked to Justin about this, and he doesn't want to use our equipment for any longer than what is needed. But I would not take that away from him needing it until everybody else does not use that equipment either. As long as we have one person out there using it, I don't see how we can tell another one that they can't if they're doing the same type of deal out there.
Well, and remember, Councilman, we all agreed for Councilman Brennan for next year when we get everything ready, we're going to.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm like, let's get him his $5 and then get him till the next year when we are going to all sit down and go over everyone's leases to make it financially prudent. That was the agreement that we had, right?
Exactly.
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
Councilman McCain, on your point, I'd just like to point out that I've been very consistent on how I feel about this.
Yes.
And so you say we should not change it. Regardless how you feel, I've been the same way the entire time, saying that no city equipment should be used for personal gain.
Right.
Right. Because I also see that if the city is going to allow leases like this under the umbrella of you're improving the city, then what's to stop the food trucks from asking for a $5 lease for Railroad Park or another piece of city property and say, also, we want to use the city equipment to connect to water and sewer. That's going to benefit the city. Every business in this city benefits the city. Every single one of them. So just because it's city property doesn't mean another business can't pop up and ask for the same thing in a different area of town. And I'm not speaking for the council, but I don't think the council would be on board with a food truck court and totally building it for them completely.
And I can understand, but we had agreed to go through all of this and get everything worked out later on this year. To where as soon as we do that, well, then we can look at his again when we come up with it again next year.
We also had a food truck ordinance going to be popping up shortly for you guys.
Mayor?
Councilman Stokes?
Justin, how much personal gain or financial gain do you get if you take your time and take 14 kids out there and let them practice?
Personally, as far as money goes,
Yeah, and financial.
I guess that all depends on whether I had to purchase my own equipment or not. But 14 people at $20 a person would be the financial.
Okay, is that what you're planning to charge for practices or for races or?
That's pretty standard. That's what was charged before. It's a little less than the other tracks around it.
All right, Councilman, what do you guys want to do?
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan.
I also had a question for Councilman Bundy. You pointed out that there was something about judicious use. Is that just your terminology or is that in here?
Just the word I used.
Okay.
And
I
the point there
appreciate-
was that I was making the assumption that he would only ask for equipment that he needed. I wasn't trying to rewrite the contract. I wasn't trying to do anything other than to just see if he was going to just be asking for what he needed. So
I enjoy how you try to call me out for the way I ask my questions.
I did not do that.
All right, Councilman.
Mayor, I think I have a right to talk.
Yeah, but I just want you guys to be civil, okay?
Well, he continuously calls me out for how I word questions and says, I understand, but it's continual and it gets frustrating. So I have a right to ask questions however I want. And I'm not trying to change the facts. Those are the facts as I see them. And the rest of you don't, and that's okay. But the whole benefit is he's improving city property for personal gain. So with that, I rest. We all know where this is going.
All right, Councilman, what do you guys want to do?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Stokes.
I make a motion to pass resolution 22-20 approving the lease agreement with Justin Rose for the motocross track at Optimus.
Second.
The motion and second, I'll call for the question. Councilman McCain?
Aye.
Councilman Stokes? Aye. Councilman Brennan?
Nay.
Councilman Buddy?
Aye.
Run down to discussion, thanks, Justin. Run down to discussion, decision, golf fees, 2020 budget, 2021 budget year, 21 golf season, and set public hearing. TJ, come on down, bud. How we doing, man?
Good.
What do you got for us?
Let's see, did you present the rates?
Yeah, I gave him your rate.
I just took a look at a few of our rates and figured where we could increase. It's been a couple of years since we've done anything with rates.
Okay.
So I think our numbers are still way conservative.
Are we right where we need to be, or do you think we need to be higher, lower?
Mountain Home's kind of an island. We're 40 miles from anything to the west, and we're 70 miles anything east of us, so we need to attract people. One of the best ways we can attract people is keep our rates a little lower.
Okay.
I don't think these increases are out of line, I think.
No, they were small.
I just bumped it up $1 here and there. So in my mind, it's a pretty easy decision. I mean, like I said, we haven't done anything for a couple of years.
Council, you got any questions for TJ?
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
I'm just a little confused, right? You sounds like you're arguing for keeping the prices down, but is this you asking for the raise here? For the increase?
Well, I've always had input on the rates. I think our rates are pretty darn reasonable compared to any golf course for 200 square miles. So I think the decision to increase the rates based on what I recommended, in my mind, is an easy answer, but I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Is the rate needed? The rate hike needed?
I think our rates are a little embarrassingly low. I think in the scheme of things, going up $1 to create more revenue for the city is, I don't think we're going to lose any business. We'll just realize more revenue. I think it's a positive for the city. It probably could go higher in a lot of the areas that I've recommended. Like I said, I don't think I'd put anything on there more than $1. And the weekday pass, for $280 for somebody to play $5 golf 5 days a week, $280 is an awful low number in my mind.
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor?
just so that everybody's clear, this was not TJ coming to us to request, this was me going to TJ saying, it's this time of year
What do you
for
recommend?
us to, adopt these rates again. Do you think any of these need to be changed? So then he brought me these, so
Yeah.
he didn't come to us and say, I want these rates.
Yeah. He's our subject matter expert, so that's why we asked him for his opinion, and
I kind of forgot about it last year just because the way that you guys run your year with October 1
yeah.
and having to do this thing this time of year when we're knee deep in our,
Tournament
just
usually.
in our brain out there, these are like winter projects.
Well,
And to have these discussions the first week of August is just a little out of whack from a point of view standpoint, just because we do a lot of these things in the winter.
Yeah.
But, so we're talking about something that really won't take effect until 2021, springtime, when we hit the ground running again.
But
By that point in time, everybody forgot what you charged them the last year anyways.
we have a lot of people that buy these for Christmas presents, so we have to have these rates in place, so they'll buy them, pay those rates in December.
Yeah. So that's what I say. It's been 2 years since we raised the rate anywhere.
And to TJ's defense, we out of sight, out of mind him last year, and he goes, well, I had a question on something. We're like, okay, so put it in the note this year to make
What the
sure.
heck? Yeah. Exactly. The only thing I would say, in my mind, when I first started working here, we didn't have a military rate. So I kind of brought that to the table, like after my first year here, which we have a military rate now. Maybe the only thing I would do, but it's a little bit, I don't know how to quite do it on the point of sale system. I would like to see the military rate be 7 days a week.
With the 5?
Our senior and military rates are Monday through Friday. That'd be the only comment. I don't know what the rate, right now today it's $19 for a regular and $16 for a military, but we don't have a military rate on the weekends.
Would that include tournament play? Or no, actually, there's already a tournament.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I think that, I don't know what I said to go to week. Maybe the military pays $20 on the weekends. I don't know. That'd be the only thing I didn't like that I wrote. I think we should charge military 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Which we don't. We charge senior and military Monday through Friday only. Nobody ever really complains. It's more of just that's the one rate that kind of feels weird.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard in the golf business. Actually, most golf courses charge Monday through Thursday rates and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend rates. We already give away Fridays as far as I'm concerned. But again, it never really has seemed to be a huge issue.
Would that be a recommendation though, to do Thursday, Fridays, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Those things go through my head when I'm typing out the email, certainly, yeah. I mean, very standard in the golf business to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday as weekend rates. Very standard to do Monday through Thursday. We do Monday through Friday. So we're already.
Sorry, I cut you off.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
I'm just kind of going to agree with Councilman Brennan here. It seemed like you were advocating for keeping the rates low, and then you come to us with this.
Well, I think our rates are reasonable as it is. I think just pushing it up $1, just when there's so many people that are coming to golf now from out of the area, and I was going to play 18 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, that's our 18-hole rate. And they're like, dude, you guys are low. Like, we're really low. I mean, when guys go play Eagle Hills or something, they're paying $60.
I think
Right.
that's something to be proud of in a way.
We pay 38. I know, but it is proud. But then at the same time, it's like, man, you're $22 lower at your highest rate per person. It means 4 people are paying $88 less.
And then,
In the spirit of trying to keep your price integrity up across the board, again, this is just $1, so it's really.
Yeah, I just noticed there's 3 on here that were increased at 25, 25, and then 20.
Those are the pass holder.
Okay. Any kind of reason for that?
Well, the original price is $525, so that's, what is that, 5%? I mean, that's not even
12%.
help me with my math.
It's a curse of mine.
Well, no, 5250 would be a 10% increase, so half of that is $26, so it's less than 5%, it's like 4%. Our season pass rates again are super low. I mean, like if you compare it to public golf in Boise, at Warm Springs, their individual pass for a full is over $1,000. We're at $550. We don't limit the number of passes we sell. Like Warm Springs, they only sell 125, and then that's it. We don't cap it.
How many season pass holders do we have?
Like 250. I mean, there's days where we'll do 100 transactions and 60 of those will be pass holder transactions.
Mayor?
Councilman Bundy?
TJ, appreciate it. It seems like you're indicating that our fees are low, and that this is a minor increase. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think that this minor increase in trying to keep pace with a little bit with all fees around the area is fine. I don't want to speak for anybody or misinterpret anything. It just seems like TJ was indicating that our fees are already low and they'll still be low even with this slight increase. Did I understand that correctly, TJ?
Still be way low.
Mhm.
Way low. I called around like a couple of years ago. We were still the only golf course, again, for like 100 square miles that was below $20 for their weekday rack rate.
So this slight increase would just keep us from.
Yes. I'm sorry, Councilman.
No, you're
But
Like, my biggest cost, or obviously, it pays, and tell
the
me,
goals of the city are.
what's that? Oh, it pays for the salary, right? But not the maintenance. And if we could get a little bit more revenue to offset that, so the taxpayers would, because this is paid by users, the fees, right? User fees. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to increase money for the city.
Right.
It has no, I mean.
My thing is I'm trying to, we have to take a portion of it out of the general fund to pay for the golf course, where if we could get the users that from Ada County and Twin Falls and Sun Valley to pay for that,
A little bit more.
have them pay a little bit more. That way we don't have to take so much out of the general fund. Maybe we allocate that into.
That's what I say. I don't know what the exact goals of the city are. I've never been told that we need to make $1 million, but
That way Jake can get some nice equipment.
it's got to be a positive if I'm trying to make more money for the city of Mountain Home. That's really all I'm trying to do, and
I'm just trying to
this is a
offset
very painless way to do that.
my thing would be offsetting the taxpayers having to pay out of the general fund and have them paid by users, Ada County, Caldwell, everybody that comes here.
5,000%, yes.
That would be my goal. So,
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
I think the fees are reasonable as well. I suppose like if we were if we were trying to get a fee schedule like Boise, I mean, no offense by this, but people probably wouldn't come to Mountain Home if we're exactly the same cost as Boise. Is there any truth to that? Or very few?
We just don't have the population base. I mean, we don't have enough, like our supply and demand is out of whack. We got another golf course 10 miles from here, that is charging basically the same amount of money. So our population base, based on the amount of golf courses we have within 10 miles, is way out of whack. First of all, we need another, if you look at like the statistics on what makes sense to even have a golf course, we're 5,000 to 10,000 people low, much less having 2. I've been saying since I've been here for 7 years, our profit is in Twin Falls and Boise. I mean, we don't get any visitors here. We don't make any money. There's just no two ways about it, especially with the amount of pass holders that we have. You know, you get all these $2 transactions and the amount of private cards that we have, there's just no way. If you do the math, by the time a person who has, like Rich is a great private card example. He's never there. He pays all his money, but he never comes out to use it. Perfect. We need more guys like that. You know, the guys that are out there 4 days a week, or they have a spouse and a private card and have both season passes, shoot, they're $1 per round. It nets down to like $9 or something by the time you do the math. So until we get, you know, our rates up, there's just no way. With the amount of pass holders we have, the equation is just kind of out of whack. Now that I think the Treasure Valley, it's a good thing there hasn't been any more golf courses built. Thank God. I mean, it's like the population in southern Idaho is growing so much and no new properties to go play. Perfect. That ends up being a lot of spillover from Mountain Home. On top of that, I don't know statistics, but it does feel like more people are coming here. You know, the RV park expanded. We're trying to do little things like we're part of this Harvest Host thing, which allows people to spend the night at the golf course. It's like an RV club. It's like RV golf club. You know, so having those visitors, I think, is critical to us. If we have just as much of a quality golf course. To touch on your point specifically, I don't think there's the condition of our golf course. If you take like our greens and that, I would put our greens against anybody in the Treasure Valley. We're just too far away. Exactly. So if you live next door to, let's say, Quail Hollow in Boise or something like that, and you're 10 minutes from there, or it's 50 minutes to get here one way, probably the main thing that's going to attract you to Mountain Home, or one of the main things that's going to drive you here, is the rate. So I kid people all the time. I'm like, well, you saved in gas what you would have paid for extra in greens fees. You know, you try to, you know. So
as far as the cart rental goes, per person, cart rental per person, is that a 9? What am I looking at? Why is there a difference?
I just went up $1.
Is that 9 holes versus 18 holes?
Yeah, so if you play 9 holes right now, it's $7.
Okay.
I just went up $1.
Okay. And is that standard throughout the?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
And those are your carts, right?
Those are mine. Yes. I went up just because honestly I've been getting slaughtered on gas.
So that money is yours.
No, 80% of that money is mine. 20% goes to the city.
Okay. I have no problem with that. I think it needs to be disclosed for the purposes of.
Oh yeah, 20% of that dollar goes to the city, back to the city. But I pay all the gas and the insurance. Shoot. By the time you pay gas and insurance, every time I fill that stupid tank, it's like $800.
All right, Councilman, what do you guys want to do? Got any more questions for TJ?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 golf fees.
Second.
And set the public hearing, excuse me.
The motion is second to set the golf fees for 2021 budget and to set a public hearing. I'll call for the question. Councilman Bundy? Aye. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman McCain?
Aye.
Councilman Stokes? Aye. Discuss decision on recommendation from the airport committee to eliminate all tie-down fees at the city's airport.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
TJ and I have one more question we'd like to ask the council.
Okay, ask your question.
So
I forgot about it. I'm sorry, guys.
I had a meeting with Nina and Paula and Rich out at the golf course. Did you guys get my email and picture about the
No.
putting course?
No, because this was your time to just come and ask if they're even interested, because if they're not
Okay,
interested,
so-
we're not moving forward.
We would like to begin discussion to see if you guys are interested in putting in an 18 hole, maybe more, but start with an 18 hole anyway. Putting golf course, like a mini putt.
Mr. Mayor.
out of the golf course.
TJ, I'm all for that. That's great. I know the youth love that kind of stuff, so I'm for that. That's all I'd have to say.
Councilor Brennan?
What's the vision on that? How would that work? Is that something like somebody pays to play to come in and?
Well, it would be a very expensive endeavor based on my research. So if I was involved, I would like to see my contract redone or extended with the amount of money that I would have to come up with to get this done. We talked softly about some of the mechanics and the way that could work and would work. It wasn't anything near a decision. It was just coffee talk. There's an area that we identified just left of the first hole, right behind the existing pitching area. That's all it is right now is weeds and dirt. The area is doing nothing at the golf course other than just sitting there. If you're coming down 18th, it's the area right before the four-way stop. I use the example of the teaching center. Before I started working here, it was the same exact thing. The teaching center, where it sits right now, was dirt and weeds and doing nothing. I saw a little vision there. Now we have a 1,000 square foot building, which we conduct a ton of activity in. It's awesome to have. And so building a 18-hole putting golf course at the golf course, in my mind, the city of Mountain Home needs things for kids to do, things for families to go do. I could see 500 uses for this thing between birthday parties and adult parties and every other party. But I can't take anything else on unless I have either more time on my contract or, one of the things we discussed is rearranging my cart lease, per your question. But anyway, it's just in the embryo stages. I've done a lot of research, but I haven't had any formal discussions with a construction company or what have you.
TJ, will this be like concrete with big greens over it, so you didn't have to mow and there was less maintenance?
You'd be like Wahoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much? What's the estimated cost range?
I think we're looking at least at anywhere from 150 to 250,000.
Councilman Buddy?
Yeah, I think it's something that's intriguing. I think the funding issue would seem to be the biggest question. So, in my opinion, I would like to see you pursue some ideas. I think it would be a hard sell for a taxpayer line, but if you were able to get some type of other process, and I don't even know what the other processes are, but it sounds like that's what you're thinking of, is some other means of putting this in place. Yeah, I would be in favor of taking a look at it with financing and how to afford putting it in is one of the primary things that you bring back to us in your plan.
And I think you just want to know, does he spend more time?
Yeah, exactly.
Or is this a hell no, we don't want to do it?
Well, my point is if he can come back and adequately explain how he would finance it, then I think we should take a look at it. So does that make sense, DJ, what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think from the point of view of a dad, I think from the point of view as the golf pro, I think from the point of view as a community member, I love the skate park idea. I mean, I haven't even been to the skate park. I probably won't go to the skate park, but I think it's fantastic. I think, those are the exact kind of things we need around here. And so having an opportunity to go do something positive in our community, I think from that aspect is great. I also think you're talking about $250,000 that I just can't snap my fingers and make appear. Plus it's pie in the sky. I mean, trying to generate the revenue to get back to whoever took it on. I think there's the Grand Canyon between doing it and then actually getting the revenue back. I mean, I'm living that as we speak with the golf carts. It sounds like all this money, but shoot, by the time you pay gas and insurance, make cart payments, there's no more money. So, anyway, I think the idea in and of itself, personally, I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it'd be something fantastic for the city.
No. Councilman King?
I'd like to see more information on it myself, and also if there's a possible grants for it. But yeah, $250,000 is a lot of money just to come up with, to add an 18-hole putting green out there.
I mean, I do have a plan that I think the way my contract could read and work, I don't have any plans on leaving Mountain Home. So I think, you know, if we could create some kind of long-term situation, but we can talk, that's kind of step 11 in the process. I think we can, you know, continue the conversation.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I'm kind of confused. You keep mentioning your contract and you need to be here longer to bring this to fruition, essentially. Are you wanting to finance it yourself or the city to pay for it?
I would entertain financing it myself.
And just owning it? Or?
As I shared with Nina, and I use the exact words, I don't need to be greedy in this situation. But at the same time, you're talking about a heck of a lot of money going out. Plus, I'd be the one taking the majority of the gamble if it came to that point. Again, I think that's a little bit down the road, whether or not this is even a real life idea. You know, it's just, I just know from personal experience that, man, money seems to evaporate very quickly, even if you think you have all this money coming in. And so if there's that much outlay, no different than like the teaching center, for example, by the time I outfit the thing, by the time I raise all the money to get the thing built, I just put solar on a couple years ago because I was getting crushed on my electric bill to the tune of like $500 a month to try to keep the place heated. So I paid $20,000 to put solar on the thing. Well, only time is going to help me recoup the $20,000 that it cost me to put the solar on the building.
And the building belongs to the city.
Time is what I would need to make the thing even viable. So the conversation about pursuing this thing, in my mind, if I was going to be involved, or I think any business owner or responsible business person would want that amount of time to help get that thing paid back. It would be an irresponsible decision to do anything less.
So in the end, we would own it. He would, you know, obviously shell out the money. In a perfect world, he shells out the money, he recoups all his finances back, and in the end, we own the park.
No different than the teaching center. If I ever leave, the city of Mountain Home is given a 1,000 square foot building.
Mayor, I feel like it's a long ways off for a city-funded project. Now, if you were to finance it yourself, I feel like there's a lot of, this is me thinking, a lot of danger for you, right? Because yes, we may extend your contract, but how long are we talking extending your contract? And I'm pretty sure the attorney will draft it to a way that says if we're unhappy with anything, with 30 days written notice, you're out. And not that we're unhappy with you, but that's how you've encouraged us to write our leases, right?
Generally, it would be what's called a public-private partnership. And those get we get in the weeds a bit.
So it just seems dangerous for you to finance that yourself. But it's your money. If it's the city's money, I feel like it's a long ways out.
So I guess the general consensus, let him move forward, then bring back a proposal, right?
I mean, like I said, from a community standpoint, I think I'm probably more motivated than anything just to continuously provide positive activities for the community. I know what you're saying. It's a huge, I mean, yes. It's not a snap your fingers project.
Right.
But I do think it'd be really cool if we had that. I mean, man, that would be like amazing if we had that. Really. You know, I don't know the mechanics of the daily or I haven't worked all that out. You know, there's a lot to do on that. But think about if you could go do putt-putt with your family for a low cost. Yeah, exactly.
Take a date.
Brad, you don't even like golf. You'd be out golfing now.
Right.
You'd be there every day.
For the date.
Right.
Mayor?
Anyway.
Cool.
I know we've already voted on this, and that's fine. I was just curious, before we totally abandon the topic, is it possible that we could go back and ask the council at the public hearing to discuss the weekend thing for making it be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? I think
Can we do that?
you can revisit it, yeah.
I'm interested in that, and I think that would, if that's how all golf courses do it, I mean, it sounded like you're interested in it.
I'd rather see it Monday through Thursday.
Oh.
I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday is standard and normal.
Okay.
I would also like to see our military be 7 days a week.
I like that idea too. Military 7 days a week.
And I think it'd be an easy keystroke just to do the military at $20, which is what I proposed for the 9-hole. I'm trying to think of how fast the keystrokes go at the counter. The last thing the staff needs is one more keystroke. So if we could change it to the 9-hole rate for military for the week, for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that would be an easy keystroke.
Okay, can we add both of those to
Sure.
public hearing?
So if we went Monday through Thursday,
I'm gonna talk to him. I'll talk to you after.
I'll just reply back to the email.
So it's the Monday through Thursday, and then it'd be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Would be all weekend rates.
Yep. And then, he wants to add the military rate, all 7 days a week.
Yeah. There's so many just down days, or it's not fair, like if a guy or gal has to work and then their only day off is Saturday or Sunday, they're getting kind of screwed, if you will, versus somebody who was on shift time or something and they get off work and they're out there Monday, Tuesday. It's like, oh man.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, TJ.
Thanks, TJ.
Good? Okay.
Run down to the special decision recommendation from the airport board committee to eliminate all tie-down fees at the city airport. Paul, you had some recommendations on this one. You want to take that really quick? Like, remember we talked about it? Yeah, remember you and I talked with Nina about we can do them, but he's got a contract, so we were going to finish out his contract before we got rid of the tie-down fees.
We did talk about that. I don't know what else to say beyond that. I don't agree with the sentiment expressed before that somehow it's a breach of contract, that we couldn't raise or lower or do away with fees or whatever, and that would rise to the level of breach of contract. Because that would make him then the decision maker for the city, and the citizenry do not have, their vote has been exculpated by virtue of a contract, and so that would be violative of our constitution. So I ain't buying any of that. But like I said, it is prudent if you wish to wait on doing tie-down fees to make it coincide with the renegotiation of any contracts. So that's kind of what I said.
So you articulate it way better than I did.
Mayor.
Councilman McCain.
Well, I know I would be the same as Ted. If I was under contract and all of a sudden you were eliminating part of my contract, I may not be able to do anything legally about it, but I'd be pissed. So I don't think we should eliminate tie downs at this time.
Wait till,
Wait until at least that contract is up, and then we can look at it again.
I don't have a
we'll
contract.
discuss it in December, but maybe we're gonna do it, okay.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Bundy.
so based on what they're saying is we would deny this now, but we're not ignoring the airport council recommendation. We're just putting it into the conversations for the new contract, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're discussing
Exactly.
December.
I agree, Mike. I think we should wait until we have a chance to figure it out in the new contract and then take this recommendation into the process of considering what we put in the new contract. Okay.
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
There's just a couple of things I'd like to point out. I had a chance to read the minutes in full of this meeting where this took place. On this particular topic, the first sentence talks about Rich, and I can only assume that means Rich Cherokee. Where's that? States that we should have some sort of tie-down fee for long-term parking. It doesn't really address short-term, maybe one night, overnight, 2-night parking. And I definitely trust Rich with with his opinion. And I'm
Hey, Rich?
also,
Sorry, I was just gonna get in here, because that was for, somebody just dropping off a jalopy plane. What do we call them? Airport or hangar or,
ramp queen,
ramp queens. Ramp queens. We don't want those.
like a permanent a spot for their airplane?
Like someone just coming and dropping off a piece of junk and leaving it there because we don't have a tie down fee.
Okay.
And it muddies up our taxiway and all that.
Mr. Mayor?
Hang on a second, I'm sorry, only let him finish. I cut him off, I'm sorry, Dan.
Can you continue with that? So the committee's recommendation is completely gone. Eliminate all of them, right? Even long term?
Well, yeah, that's what they said, right? Yeah.
That's how I read it. I also feel that the motion made in the Airport Advisory Committee meeting on this topic has a very explicit bias with it. And again, like, this is me just being honest, talking how I feel, but Tom, you made the motion, right? To eliminate all tie-down fees. But the action of doing that will directly benefit you financially, because one, you have a airplane, and at times you're going to have multiple airplanes that you have on the hangar. And I understand that being inside of your hangar, there's no tie-down fees because you own that space. But outside on the ramp, or I don't know what you call it, the tarmac, any airplane that you have out there, you're basically making a motion and voting to benefit yourself financially. And as I discussed earlier with TJ, that needs to be disclosed. Maybe not legally per se, because you're an advisory committee and not the governing body. But with your bias in there, it was seconded, but the motion wasn't made by somebody that doesn't have a bias in the matter. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
Do you have airplanes on the ramp?
Sure.
Okay, so does this benefit you financially?
Not really.
Come on, Tom.
Sure.
Like, if you have an airplane on the hangar,
Sure.
right now you have to pay for that.
Yeah, I do.
And your motion to eliminate that,
Was not based on a financial gain.
It doesn't-
A gain for me.
it doesn't matter. It's there,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Okay, so making that motion is a direct financial gain for you. Gain meaning you no longer have to spend that money
I don't have to spend the money if I don't want to spend it.
that you once did.
To this day, I don't have to spend the money if I don't want to.
Could you take your airplane somewhere else?
I could take them somewhere else, or I could put them in the hangar. Build
Okay.
another hangar and put them in there.
Okay, I understand there's a lot of options out there.
Sure. Just like the golf pro just mentioned, this place is like an island. There's places 70 miles east and west of here, you can take your airplane and park them there.
Okay.
So I made that statement prior to being on the board as a general public person that operates an airplane at the Mountain Airport. Prior to even getting on the board, participating in the board, just going to airport meetings. From day one, the question came up, how does this airport change?
Okay,
And
so
I said, that's one of the main reasons.
let
to
me
make it
continue,
enticing
please.
For people to come here.
So whether you did it before, you also did it as a voting member, right? You made that motion, and as a councilman, when I have a bias or a direct pecuniary benefit from a motion, I have to recuse myself from that. And although maybe not legally, I would encourage every member that gets to vote on something to do the same thing. And for that reason, I would like to reject the motion or the recommendation of the airport committee and have it go back to them without somebody voting that has a bias in the situation.
Mr. Mayor, before you say, may I address that?
You bet.
With the exception of myself, every member of the board owns an airplane out there. So if you're saying if you own an airplane, that makes you have a bias and you can make a recommendation, your airport board is essentially moot because everybody owns an airplane. And everything that happens at the airport is going to affect them in some way or another. Paul has an airplane. He voted no. That affects him. Ian has an airplane. He voted yes. That affects him. If you're saying just owning an airplane makes you biased because now you don't have to pay the fee, your airport board is moot because nobody could vote.
For financial financial incentives.
Correct, nobody could vote. Ian would have to recuse himself, Tom would have to recuse himself, Paul would have to recuse himself, Justin would have to recuse himself, Bob would have to recuse himself, AJ gets to vote.
Mr. Mayor.
Now you set it up to the point where I get to make the decision on everything. And nobody wants that, including myself.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask you-
Yeah.
Let
I'm sorry, I
somebody
just
go.
wanted to throw that out. Everybody owns an airplane, so if you're gonna say he can't do it because he owns an airplane, that's everybody on the board, period.
I have a question for the city attorney. When we recuse ourselves, for financial benefit, that means we would gain a financial benefit that wouldn't be available to everybody else, right? Because we vote for, as city councilman, we vote for streets, which we use. We vote for all kinds of things, which we all use. Is it similar with the airport, where if they vote to whatever yes or no on tie downs, it doesn't benefit them any differently than everybody else? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, but that isn't what the analysis is. So let me bring it closer to home.
Thank you.
So and I've said this to Councilman Brennan as well. They're in an advisory capacity. They are not a decision maker. And so the legal issues that pertain to 67-6506, probably doing that wrong, regarding conflicts of interest for direct pecuniary gain does not apply to a non-decision maker. Councilman, if you owned an airplane at the airport, and you are one of the people, so they do their advisory opinion saying, we want you to increase tie-down fees, or we want you to eliminate tie-down fees, I would say that you should recuse yourself from this vote.
Okay.
Even though he made a motion and he owns an airplane, and so everything Councilman Brennan said is accurate. You can make an argument that there's a bias there, and so and the way you get your get out of jail free card, by the way, even if you're a council member, is you say, look, I have a direct interest in this, and I just want you to know that I'm saying this. I own an airplane, and I would really like to save the $5 or whatever, whatever it is. On it, you actually disclose it all, and you put it all on the record, and then say, by the way, I am now out because I am a decision maker. If you're not the decision maker, so you would say, I own an airplane at it. I feel that I can make, you get two directions at this. And so your get out of jail free card is because I give you the legal opinion. And then you have two choices to go. You could say, I receive a direct pecuniary gain out of this, but I do not feel, this is a bad idea, by the way. I do not feel that that my impartiality is at all influenced by this. It's only $5. I think it's a good call no matter what. Yeah, okay, I'm making out on $5 on this, but I'm not going to recuse myself because I could do this impartially. So, yeah. I think that's a bad idea, but you could probably do that. The better course, of course, is because you're a decision maker saying, I own an airplane out there. I have to pay these tie-down fees every day. It's just better that I think I can make an impartial vote on what's best for the city. But you know what? I kind of got a stake in this. It'll save me a few bucks, not many, but I'm just going to recuse myself. That's the difference.
Thank you.
So it has nothing to do with whether you drive on the same road that you benefit from. It's all about your role as a decision maker, and his role is not a decision maker. But to play fair with everybody, it's not a bad idea to be like, I realize I'm one of the airplane owners, and so I do benefit from this, but I think I can make an impartial decision and recommendation to this advisory board because 70 miles away, 50 miles away, you could park it anywhere else. This makes sense despite the fact that I also will benefit from this. And I do not feel that I am incapable of not making a decision. That's the difference. But making the recommendation and then blah, blah, blah. The lawyer, if I were advising an advisory committee, that's your get out of jail free card if you said it. Or somebody might be honest and just say, or you call them out on it, be like, you know what? No, we're talking about too much money here. This is fuel costs. This is per dollar. This does not have any benefit to the city at all. In fact, the city's getting raped on this and you're benefiting from it. I'm going to call you out that's BS. You are really profiting from this. And I do think you have a bias. So, you see how we're kind of in the gray on some of this? Being an advisory now, where it comes right back to being black and white, is it's no longer gray anymore, because now that the city council knows this and knows, from what you just said before, there is a bias here maybe, there maybe isn't. There might be a legitimate reason why it's black and white. You won't have an advisory board if everybody had to recuse themselves. And your argument that 70 miles, 30 miles, it makes sense, like greens fees or something like that at the golf course, you just say it all. You just put it all on the record, say, here it is. And then now the decision makers now are making an informed decision. And then that's how wisdom comes out.
Well, we all know now they all have an airplane that's on the board.
Except for AJ.
Except for AJ, yeah.
All right.
And no, we don't want a vote of one. That happens, by the way, once in a while in county commissioners. Oh, I have a pecuniary gain in this. I have a pecuniary gain in this. There's one left. It's like, okay, do we have a quorum? Okay, I got to start thinking.
May I say one more on my piece? I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead, AJ.
Councilman Brennan, just before you make your final decision on how to proceed for it, would just like to throw out there too. I did watch you tell Justin that you didn't want to waive his $5 fee because you felt like he was using the city's resources for personal gain. If you vote no, you still do leave it in the hands where 50% of tax generated through a city ordinance is going to a private for-profit business. So you still have a situation where somebody is using city tie-down fees, which are essentially city equipment, to profit their business. Just my 2 cents for whatever it's worth.
Can you go back? What did I say to Justin?
You said you did not want to waive his $5 fee because you didn't like the idea of anybody using city equipment for private profit at the city's expense.
And so in this term,
In this instance, the city equipment being used is the tie downs, which are owned by the city of Mountain Home. And you have a private for-profit business, which are getting 50% of the tax revenue generated from tie-down fees.
tax revenue or the user fee?
The user fee, 50% of whatever fees are raised through tie-down fees go to a private for-profit business.
Okay.
Just making a comparison there.
So, let's get back on point.
Sorry, sir.
Mayor, I only have one question
Can I
about
make a
the tie-down
response
fees.
to that, please?
And it's about the liability. I don't want the liability on the city for charging these fees. Now, I understand that by charging them, we take on that liability. Is that correct or incorrect?
We're gonna get sued anyway, whether we charge them or not.
I don't understand what you mean by liability of a tie-down fee.
Yeah, that was my understanding.
If it breaks
Because of the
loose.
fee breaks, that the thing breaks loose?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the fee. If you don't charge a fee and they use our equipment and it breaks, they'll be suing you anyway. But I don't think whether the fee, I don't think the fee is what dictates the liability. I think if we do improper maintenance of the tie downs, or the same way if the roof collapses on somebody, if we were negligent in keeping the roof, it didn't matter whether they were paid to be staying in there. If you had a hotel, roof falls on your head. I mean, unless you were literally breaking and entering at the time, and even then sometimes they sue and win. I don't think that's what makes or breaks liability.
Mayor. So we gave AJ a chance to talk. Would you be so kind as to give Ted a chance to rebut that?
Okay, this is the last of the last, okay, guys out there? Because this is for the councilmen to work.
I do get 50% of the parking fees that I collect. It's my responsibility to collect them for the city. So in order to do that, I paid a fee. And that's half.
I thought that was the manager that we pay, the monthly
As
fee
the
for.
manager, I get 50% of the parking fees to collect them.
So I thought that was the airport manager's salary we gave you.
No, it's part of the compensation of the airport manager is to collect the parking fees and take half of that as compensation for the manager.
And I thought those fees were supposed to be put back in the airport, no?
Half of the fee comes to me as compensation as the airport manager because I have to collect the fees.
Roger that.
So does the other 50% go
The other 50% goes to the city.
Goes to the city.
back directly into the line item of the airport? Thank you. Finally, do I understand right that we're talking about passing this, but not putting it into play until January?
Right.
Okay, so with that direction, I think we need to have a discussion, in my opinion, on BLM. If we're waiving all tie-down fees, BLM spends a lot of money here on tie-down fees, as I understand it. And so are we waiving it for them too? Because I don't know how to word this, but BLM is paying that fee with taxpayer dollars back in the city budget. And so we're giving a private person or private business free, but not the government for free. Anybody tracking me?
Yeah, I got you.
So
Well,
if it's across the board, then nobody pays anything.
Well, I think this gives us a few months to get our duckies in a row and see what we want to do. This is just a recommendation. No matter, I think we're all the same.
Well,
So we're going
when
to
I
keep on
said
right
that-
now.
When I said that, it was just that right now, until Ted's contract is up, I don't want to approve it. We can look at it and possibly approve it later on after, and that gives us more time to discuss it.
Right.
Okay. Exactly.
Go ahead, Rich.
That is in BLM's contract, so it's a separate contract. So, that tie-down fee. So, that's something that we can certainly talk with BLM about.
I definitely wouldn't be in favor of charging them, even if it's in a contract, if everybody else gets it for free. I don't know why they pay and nobody else does.
But you want to keep it that way? What'd you say?
No.
We're keeping everything as is right now.
Okay. Right, yeah, but that's something, their contract is coming up, so for, when is that one? So,
I believe theirs ends December 31st.
December 31st.
So we will have a work session before then.
Perfect. So we're not passing this.
Not right now.
More of a
No.
tabling.
Yes, tabling it
Exactly.
until
Okay.
December.
Thank you.
Okay. Went down to item 8, ordinance adopting FY 21 budget, action item. Mayor, Councilman Buddy.
I'll get there.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Buddy.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 21 budget, and I make a motion that we suspend the 3 reading rule and read this ordinance by title only for its one and only reading tonight.
Second. Motion is second. I'll call for the question. Councilman McCabe?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Buddy? Aye. Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Nina, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance entitled the Annual Appropriation Ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020, appropriating the sum of $38,116,103 to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of Mountain Home for said fiscal year and providing for an effective date.
Councilman, you've heard this ordinance read. Do you wish it to pass? Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Councilman Bundy? Aye. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman McCain?
All right.
Run down to ordinance amending section 5-1-4 to provide that building permit and plan review fees can be set by resolution.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I apologize. I didn't have time to ask this question prior, but Nina, can you help me understand that this is simply, the only thing this is changing is that it's done by resolution and not, is it not by public hearing? Or?
At this point, the only thing this ordinance is doing is taking them out of the ordinance and making it be passed by resolution, period. That's it.
Taking them out.
Taking what I've crossed out.
Okay.
Right now, the fee is set by ordinance, and now it's going to be set by resolution. The fee itself isn't being changed.
Okay.
So it wouldn't require a public hearing because it's not an increase of 5% or more.
Even though it may change
It's housekeeping.
to the resolution, if we still increase it by 5%, it will still
Still
require
have
public
to
hearing.
have a public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
And there's one on here that, I don't remember which one it was, that's on the public hearing. That's what started this whole thing, because it's there's a fire inspection fee
Fire
or
inspection fee.
something on here somewhere. It had to come off of here because it's on the, I don't remember which one.
Wood
Maybe
stove
it's the wood
inspection,
stove
probably.
inspection. It's gonna be on the other one that's going by resolution, so I had to take it out of this ordinance. So while I was taking that one out of the ordinance, I just went ahead and took them all out of the ordinance to do them all by resolution.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to move to, is to get all our fees out of the
Yeah,
ordinance.
you need to get them out of the ordinances themselves. It should be the fee charge is a resolution.
It's just a separate
It
document.
should be a separate document.
And the ordinance will say refer to.
Thou shalt not do whatever, fee shall be set by resolution of the city council.
Okay.
So that way, every time we change it, we don't have to go back and change the ordinance, we're just adopting a resolution. So we don't have to go back and change the whole ordinance to do that.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Because then you gotta recodify.
I make a
it.
motion that we suspend the three reading rule and read this ordinance by title for its one only reading tonight, and that is amending section 5-1-4 to provide that the building permit and plan review fees can be set by resolution.
Second.
The motion is second, I'll call for the question. Councilman Bunny? Aye. Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Councilman Kane?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Please read the ordinance.
In order to the City of Mountain Home, Idaho, amending section 5-1-4, chapter 1, title 5 of the City Code of Mountain Home, Idaho, to provide that the city's fixed fees for building permits and plan reviews shall be set by resolution of the city council rather than by ordinance, providing an effective date.
Councilman, you've heard it read. Do you wish it to pass? Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman McCain?
Aye.
Councilman Bundy?
Aye.
Run down to ordinance adding a new section 6-7A3, providing fire review inspection fees to be set by resolution. Councilman Stokes?
I make a motion that we suspend the three reading rule and read this ordinance by title only for its one and only reading tonight, referring to adding a new section 6-7A-3, providing for fire review and inspection fees to be set by resolution.
Second. Motion is second, I'll call for the question. Councilman Bundy? Aye. Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Councilman Kane?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Anna, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Mountain Home, Idaho, adding a new section 6-7A-3, chapter 7A, title 6 of the City Code of Mountain Home, Idaho, providing for fire review and inspection fees to be set by resolution of the city council, providing an effective date.
Councilman, you've heard this ordinance read. Do you wish it to pass? Councilman Kane?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Councilman Bundy? Aye. All right.
Just for clarification, those resolutions will be on the next agenda.
Okay.
All right. Item number 9, final comments. Councilman, you got anything?
Mayor? Oh, okay.
Councilman Kane?
I would just like to get we've had several different things we've talked about that we're going to talk about before the end of the month. Or before the end of the year. I'd like to start getting some dates set on some of those things so we don't, as Councilman Brennan said, he wants to do something, but it never gets brought back up again to where, so I'd like to get something started on dates for those things.
Like that. Councilman Bundy?
Real quick, we haven't had this situation since last March. I'd like to remind everybody that we're going into a blended program with the schools. So there's going to be about, half the students at a time are going to be going to the junior high and the high school. And in the elementary grades, they're going to be going mornings and afternoons. So we're going to have a lot of kids out on the streets again and people taking the kids to and from school. So just kind of keep that in mind that, we haven't been going to school since last March. So just want to remind everybody to drive careful, which we do, but support the students and the school board as they try to go forward. And we try to figure out the best way to educate the kids in Mountain Home. So that's all I want to say.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.